What is going on, YouTube? This is CryptoVision 2.0 signing back on. It looks like we're kind of in a green phase right now for the market. It looks like Litecoin's at about $39.99, somewheres around there. It looks like that's about the resistance. It touched 40 this morning, well, actually a few minutes ago. And yeah, things are looking pretty good right now. But just a word to the wise, be cautious because we're still in this coronavirus phase, and we're kind of, trying to figure that out and trying to get the, viruses or the, the vaccines going. But I would really exercise caution until they find a cure for this. You're going to still have a lot of volatility in the market. So right now, yeah, things look great. But unfortunately, yeah, this could be a long-term thing that they look good, but me, myself, I don't really have to sell out. As I said before, I really don't have a lot of money. I've got about probably $200 or $300 into it, which is really a lot of money for me, but I've got 2 Ethereum now, and I can afford to ride this thing out. I can afford, if it goes up, fine. If it doesn't, then whatever. But to those people, to those folks who have maybe 500 to 1,000 or whatever invested, I would highly recommend, if you think it's going to go above 140, some analysts are believing that 140 for Ethereum could be the cap at the moment, because it looks like we are hitting a lot of resistance at the 139, about 139.99 to 140. Once it touches that 140, I'm afraid that if it fails to pass that resistance, then I'm afraid that, I'm afraid we're going to just start going back down again. That does seem to be the trend lately. And like I said, with this coronavirus going on, there's still a lot of fear in the markets. The stock market is still unstable. So until Bitcoin can really prove that it's a safe haven for people to invest their money during rocky times like this, yes, I would advise investing, but just invest with caution. Really do your homework. Don't exactly hinge everything don't hinge your decision on what Google says or what guys like me say. Just use your instinct. If your instinct is telling you to buy some Ethereum or buy some Litecoin, then go for it. But me personally, I love to see my Ethereum going up, but I also would prefer, like say if I had $400, I would wait for a red day to buy. I would wait until it was back down to 115 and jump in, because remember this, you don't want to jump in when it's at the highest point. If 140 is the top resistance right now, you don't want to jump in at this point. If it was me personally, right now is kind of the time you want to sell. If you do have a bunch of it, if you're a guy like me who's only got 1 or 2, well, I'd wait for it to go up a little bit more. But if you got a whole bunch of it, if you got like say 5 or 10 or more, I would highly recommend maybe taking some profits right now. Wait for it to drop to about 115, because we all know it will. If it doesn't meet that resistance, well, if it doesn't surpass it, then it's going to start pulling it down again. Just the same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has pushed over $6,000, which is amazing. But I'm afraid it looks like about 6,100 to 6,200, maybe 6,300 is about your resistance. And when it's not pushing through that resistance, that is what causes these coins. I don't really necessarily think it's really, sell-offs do have a play in it, but I think when they don't meet these resistances, a lot of the times these coins will start to fall, and that's what pushes them down. So me personally, if I had, say, $400, because it looks like the government is going to be giving us supposedly 2 rounds of checks of $1,000 each. Well, I do want to put that into the economy to help stimulate the economy, because that's what they're for. And I had considered maybe buying some Ethereum with it, just as an investment. Or maybe I thought about maybe buying some silver. But when I do get the money, if I should so decide to buy some Ethereum with it, I can promise you I am not going to buy it on a day like this when it's green. I would be selling before I would be buying. I would wait for a red day because I consider red days opportunities. So my suggestion to you is if you come into a lot of money, if you feel like it's going to continue to go up, then by all means buy it. But if you feel the need to wait like me, well then I think that's even better, because I mean, if you wait until 115, you know it's going to eventually hit up to 140. You could sell out, make a little bit of profit, and there you go. I mean, to me, it just kind of makes, you don't want to be one of those people that they call bag holders. You don't want to be once everybody has taken their profits, it jumps up to 140, 145. You don't want to be one of those guys or girls that got in at 140, 145, and then it starts to plummet. You always want to wait. You want to wait until the very bottom, and then when you're at the very top, that's when you get out. Because just like I was saying a few months ago, or a couple of months ago before the big run up to 290 for Ethereum, I had a feeling that it was going to come crashing down hard. There was no support whatsoever for that price. It didn't have time to consolidate. It didn't have time to build a support foundation. And so once all the volume dried up and this panic started to set in, that's what happened. I mean, what happened was that wave completely collapsed. And so I had a feeling that we were going to collapse. And for me, like I said, I only have two, so I don't really care what it does. But to those people who really have a lot of money into it, at this time when we're in this turbulent time right now, you really have to watch these markets close if you have a lot of money into them. And when you have little run-ups like this, when they jump up 20, 30 bucks, I would highly recommend selling some of your position. I wouldn't recommend selling all of it. Because with me, I like to, if I were to sell, I would sell one Ethereum and keep one in my back pocket. That way, I really don't care. So there I made 25, 30 bucks. But for me, I would rather wait until it hits 200 again. I know it's going to hit 200 again because it always goes back up. But with Litecoin's support levels are at about 37, now I'd say about 35 to 39.99. It did touch 40 today, so it looks like 40 is your new resistance for Litecoin. And I don't know, Litecoin is always a good investment, but what's kind of keeping me away from it? I really haven't seen any brand new news from Charlie Lee to really convince me, hey, you need to buy this right now. That's kind of why we're at these levels right now. Also due to the panic and the fear and everything. But I really don't see any new developers for Litecoin. I don't really see any new projects in the future for Litecoin right now. I could be 100% wrong. But once I start to see, hey, we got some big stuff coming up, we're going to be launching this, we're going to be launching that, I definitely would then start buying some Litecoin. But I think right now if I get a little bit of extra money, I may go ahead and pick up a couple of Litecoin and just forget I have them. But if all I've got is like 40 or 50 bucks, well, I don't know. I might just be kind of on the fence with Litecoin. I'm just going to be watching Litecoin every day. But it just seems like, how high did Litecoin hit? I think it went to maybe $60 or $70 when it was at its highest this year. And it fell pretty hard. So actually right now, I'd like to see it go back down to about maybe 31, maybe 30, maybe $29. Then I'd feel pretty good about getting in. But the key to this business is you got to have patience. You got to be able to withstand the storms that come. You're always going to have days where every other day could be down 50 bucks Ethereum. So you can't let stuff like that bother you. Otherwise, I mean, sometimes there's just some people that are not cut out for investing. Some days I think, well, am I cut out for it? But, with Bitcoin, I think some people are saying, is Bitcoin dead? No, I don't think Bitcoin's dead. Pretty much the whole stock market is in the toilet right now. But this is just a short-term thing. Once all this coronavirus stuff is over with, once life starts going back to normal, once they start playing sports like baseball, basketball again, hockey, everything is going to be back to normal. And then eventually, I don't think people will forget about this, but it just won't be that element of fear anymore. So if you're thinking about selling out because of this coronavirus business, I would strongly recommend, and if you're somebody that really needs the money, go ahead. But I myself choose not to sell out just because of that. Could I be making a terrible mistake? Yeah, of course, but that's part of the gamble, Everything in life is a gamble. Everything you do is a gamble. Every time you walk outside, that's a gamble. You just got to look at it with investing. You got to think to yourself, can I afford to lose this $35? Can I afford to lose this $300 I have in my Ethereum? Well, I think that right now, with Ethereum, the risk is, the reward is, kind of matches up with everything. So for me, it feels comfortable. Now, if I had 10 or 20 Ethereums and it started dropping down, well, that kind of might raise my heart, a little bit. That might kind of make me a little nervous. But I don't want to have so much money into something that I'm going to be screaming bloody murder every time the price drops a little bit. I want to be able to look at it, well, for red, who cares? That's the way I look at it. If it's red, fine. If Ethereum drops to $60, like it dropped to $84 about a year or two ago, but I didn't sell out. I held on to it. I went long, and I made some money on it. So that's what you got to do. Even if tomorrow it were to drop to $80, don't be afraid. Don't sell out, because remember this. The only way you lose money is if you hit that sell button. If you got in at 190 for Ethereum and you get out at let's say 75, $80, you've lost a lot of money. But if you just leave it alone and forget about it, it'll go back up again. So just remember that. Well, guys, like I said, for a while until my arms feel better, if you like this kind of content, if you like me just talking to the phone, just, telling you what the market's doing right now from, what I saw on the charts, just let me know in the comments below, because, it's kind of hard to mess with the computer when both your arms are sore. So, but I am getting better and better every day. So anyway, guys, this is Crypto Vision 2.0 signing off. I believe it is Thursday today. So peace out, guys.